Great. So I want to say hi to, is it Quita or Kita Joy?
Weta Joy.
Wita, neither one of them were right. Wita.
Hello there. Nice
Hi,
to be
welcome.
here.
Nice to have you here. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Lynn's iPhone. All right. So we are at the top of the hour, and we're going to go ahead and start. Are we looking good, John?
Yes, we are.
What you need? All right. Excellent. Then we're going to go ahead and get started. Um, my name is Reverend Dr. Pjae Stanley, and welcome to Thought Leader Thursday, where I'm hosting wonderful, amazing guests from all over new thought leaders in every capacity. And so we welcome you here, and we are going to go ahead and do a short treatment. I do want to remind and invite our guest, who's Reverend Kim Andrews from Unity of Sachse. I'll talk more about her in a few moments. She'll do a treatment for us. So why don't we go ahead and do that, Kim? Since I mentioned that, why don't we go ahead and do that?
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Let's take a deep breath together. Here in this moment, we affirm that we are one breath, one life, one love, one peace, one joy. We are one with the divine. And here and now, we affirm that magic happens in this session together today, that we are greater than the sum of our parts, and that no matter where we are, physically, we are one and inextricably connected. And so we open our hearts and minds to whatever it is we need to hear, whatever it is we need to feel, whatever it is we need to ask or say, so that we can step more boldly, more fully into our divinity and share our gifts with the world. And so we breathe in again, breathing in power and strength, the power and strength that comes straight from the divinity that is at the core of our being. And so we say yes and thank you to power and strength. We say yes and thank you to life. And so it is, and so it shall be.
And so it is. Thank you. Beautiful. So I do want to remind everyone that we encourage questions and comments. And so with that, I'm just going to go ahead and get started today. Our guest speaker is Reverend Kim Andrews from the Unity of Sachse. And she is here to talk about her peace initiative. She reimagines peace from the abstract to the practical for those tired of lives filled with anxiety and stress. She also offers a call to being for subtle activists yearning for global peace. I'm going to tell you just a little bit about Kim, and then I'm going to let her go ahead and continue to tell more of her story. So Kim Andrews is a story shepherd and a spiritual leader of Unity Sachse in Sachse, Texas, which is in North Texas, just above Dallas. She transformed her life, once governed by chaos and strife, to one of peace and self-mastery through the dedicated practice of personal development skills and unity principles. In 2021, after combining all that she'd learned into a healing modality and being inspired to use that modality for the betterment of humanity, Kim expanded her ministry to create a peaceful planet, one peacemaker at a time, through her initiative 8945 for Peace. You can find out more about that and about Kim at thecalltopeace.com, and we'll put that in the chat. So Kim is a very dear friend of mine. When I accepted the call to become the spiritual leader for Unity in Fort Worth, one of my discussions with Spirit was that I didn't know what I was doing and I was going to need a lot of help. And I needed someone to guide me through this process. And right when I was taking on my ministry, Kim had been at hers, I think about 8 months or so before I'd gotten going, Kim.
Just a
And then
couple of months,
a
yes.
couple of months, okay. And then there was another young woman, Melinda Wood Allen, who took over another church here in Dallas, and she was maybe about a year or so into it as well. So all of us were brand new, and we formed a New Thought Ministers Alliance in Dallas, and we three are the ones remaining. And so we now call ourselves the Three Women Ministers, and we get together often, and minimally once every 3 months, but much more often than that, to share laughter, to cry, to support, to ask questions, to do all the things that is needed. And so Spirit showed up in spades by introducing me to Kim and to Mel. And so without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and let Kim speak just a moment. Kim, let me just ask you just a real quick question. Can you tell us just a little bit about yourself, what you'd like us to know, and how you got started in New Thought? Because I know you didn't come from that background. So can you share with us who you are and how you got started in New Thought?
So I call myself a story shepherd because I have, through learning how to use transformational storytelling, I have healed some very wounded parts of me and have found a life of freedom and peace. And, I was raised Catholic, and somewhere in my 30s needed something different. And it happened right after my favorite priest left the church that I was going to. And I really just started looking around. Went to different denominations, different churches. I'd meet people, ask them what church they went to, and I'd end up there. And then one day, through my trials and errors, trying to find a home for my spirituality and my practice, I got a magazine in the mail called Abundance, and it was from, I had no idea that it was from the Association of Unity Churches. And I read it, and all of it resonated with me. And I thought, gee, I just didn't know anything like this existed. I went to the website and found out that there was a Unity Church 15 minutes from my home. I was living in Maryland at the time, and went there the first day, and everything resonated. And I thought, man, this is just the best thing ever. And I just didn't realize at that time that I had been reading about what is our New Thought principles and philosophies, but I had no frame of reference for New Thought or for Unity. I had never heard of them. So everything just expanded from there. And so that was in 2002. And so these 20 plus years, I have been practicing and living New Thought principles, and it has absolutely turned my life 180 degrees. It is, I took everything seriously when I, heard, and I did some, from my readings, it was suggested that you try things out.
Yes.
Try a principle, see if it works, And I thought, okay, why not? This is the first time anybody's ever suggested that I investigate a philosophy. And I did, and they always worked. And I thought, it doesn't get any better than this. And that my life just changed.
Absolutely.
So that's been my journey into New Thought. And then in 2018, I started as the spiritual leader of Unity Sachse and just took it all to another level. And as those of you who are ministers know, that it just begins a new level of your own personal journey, your personal spiritual journey, when you are in ministry. And so everything just kind of expanded from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. And I think we have a number of people that are a part of Anton that have their that are senior ministers and that are individual ministries and just personalized ministries, and we just minister however we can. And so all of us that are on this call are clearly leaders and taking New Thought to the next level for us, which moves out into everyone that we touch and everyone that we speak to and all of that. It just has that expansive nature. So I agree with you, Kim. That's exactly what goes on. So I thought, we've been talking about your initiative for peace, and you certainly have some programs that you can talk with everyone about. But the initiative 8945 for peace. Tell us about the name. That's interesting, and then just how that came about and what that is actually.
Okay, so the name 8,945 for peace came from there's an equation to help you determine just how many people you need in order to shift consciousness. And it's the square root of 1% of a group or population. There's now about 8 billion people on the planet. And the square root of 1% of 8 billion is 8,945. And through my own journey to inner peace, I want peace for the planet. And I am called what they term a subtle activist. I don't go out with placards and I don't demonstrate in front of buildings and do things like that. But with my consciousness, my peace consciousness, I am working to bring peace to the planet. By bringing together 8,945 people for peace, I am working towards global peace. And so that's where the number and the name came from. It was staggering to me that you need so few people to shift consciousness.
It is staggering.
That's 9,000 people, 9,000. And that just blew my mind that is possible. And that if we are radiating peace, and there is, according to the peace study, some of you may be familiar with from the 80s, 70s, and 80s, there is a process for radiating peace. But one of the downfalls was that, when people stopped meditating about peace around a certain area of the world, then the crime rates and the conflict went back up. And so I thought, well, what if we were radiating peace more often? What if we were living peace, and peace came from being something that is this abstract to being very practical, and we are living that, and we are healing ourselves, and I believe in the process healing the world, then magic can happen. And so I take this consciousness thing very seriously. We talk about it all the time, we read about it. And I thought, again, let's test this principle. If consciousness really has an effect on the world, then having 9,000 plus 90,000 people, however many, no matter what the number is, if we are all radiating peace, then consciousness has to shift. It has to shift. And the studies, as they continue, are continuing to show that it makes a difference. Your individual consciousness makes a difference. And so as I healed myself and the wounds and the baggage I had from my own family of origin, as I started to gain more peace, more inner peace, I wanted that for the world. I wanted it for other people. And shifting my own consciousness is how it worked for me. And so my programs are about shifting consciousness, doing the work we need to do to heal ourselves at a very deep level so that we are more peaceful every moment of every day, not just when we're sitting and meditating.
So thank you. That is just, the number is just staggering. It's hard to believe that just that small amount of people, and there's so many people that want peace, but your whole idea of what's the practicality from moving it from abstract, let's be peaceful, to actually how do we do it? So that would simply be the next question. You said that there is a process for radiating peace. Can you share with us what that means and what the process is that you're talking about?
So for me, it really was about bringing peace from the abstract to the practical. So that meant in my meditation time and meditating daily and really taking seriously this call to meditate daily and to find a place within that meditation where I feel peaceful within my heart, my mind, my body, my spirit. So that means now I am taking care of myself on a much different level than I ever have before. And so a peaceful body for me is about Do I feel good physically, this physical body of mine, the vessel that my spirit is encapsulated by? And is my environment peaceful? Do I love being at home? Am I peaceful in my environment? Am I peaceful in my relationship? You know, when I took on this initiative, it's interesting when you take things on, suddenly you start to get all these, you're inspired to the kind of work you need to do every single day. And so I started to hear how I would respond to my husband when he would say something. And there are things that automatically would irritate me. And I would think, why the heck am I irritated? Like, what is that? And I know that in my response, I'm not feeling peaceful and I'm not radiating peace to him. Right. And nothing he was saying to me was intimidating or negative or toxic. In fact, and this comes from my family of origin, he was simply asking me, how are you doing? And I would think, why are you asking me that? What, I look like I'm not doing well? And I just kind of like spiraled down from a simple question. And then it made me step back and realize that that was coming from somewhere. That came from watching my parents with each other. They had a very unhappy marriage. They never divorced. They stayed together. My siblings and I, at some point, had a conversation. So we wished they had, divorced, because it was just, it was a toxic environment that we grew up in. And so I grew up in a house where there was sarcasm and you pushed each other's buttons. And you would know where people's soft spots are, and you would hit before you got hit. And so that my husband asked me that was harken back to my family of origin. And I thought, okay, I have no reason to think my husband is one of the sweetest, most peaceful people I know. And he's merely asking me how I am. And so I had something to heal there. I worked on that. And then I started taking a breath when he would ask me that question. I would smile at him and say, thank you for asking. And then tell him how I'm feeling, because he really wants to know. And so it was simple things like that. Another practical thing, making sure that I have enough rest, because then I have enough energy to do all the work I need to do. When I show up at my center, I am ready for the people who want to talk to me. And I'm not feeling this anxiety or tension sometimes. When we're not quite ready, either spiritually or mentally, to deal with a group of people, then we start to turn off. And so in that moment, I'm not radiating peace. So I need to take care of myself. I need to fill up me so that I can do the work that I am called to do, which is to serve others. But first, that means I have to serve myself.
Absolutely.
So it's very practical things like that. And it really has worked. I have noticed that in my daily living, from the moment I open my eyes to the time I go to sleep, that I am so much more peaceful. I am chilled out. And I was a type A, crazy woman at times, where things just had to go my way and I wanted control. And if that didn't happen, if the slightest thing got in my way, I lost it. Just absolutely lost it. And it really didn't serve me or the people that I was in relationship with. And I didn't want that to happen anymore.
So that's just wow. Wow. So you said so many things here, and I know that you have a program, because I know everybody's going to have questions, and you said a lot of things. So we'll talk about that. Put that in the chat. But the biggest takeaway that I'm having right now is that you basically decided that you wanted to be peaceful, and then number two, taking responsibility for yourself when you are not at peace, and look and getting real clear about where the lack of peace is in your own life. And I love that, because we talk about that a lot. We talk about, you New Thought, that you cannot give what you don't have. So you don't know how to love somebody if you're not loving, if you don't love yourself. So if you're not, it all the same thing happens, because principles are the same, and laws all work for the same thing. So if I want more peace, then I need to be more peaceful. If I want to be a good friend, if I want a good friend, I need to be a good friend. All of those things. So this is just amazing, and I love that. people, particularly now where we are with the whole war in the Ukraine, there's so many things going on around the world, and everybody asks, "What can I do?" And you feel so helpless. And this is such a concrete, absolute thing that we can all do to bring global peace, not just in our lives, but it begins in our lives. So this is just, to me, Kim, very hopeful. I love what you're saying. It's very, very hopeful. And I certainly met your husband, so he's definitely a very peaceful and calm person. So that's just amazing. Thank you so much, and thanks for those numbers. That just again, it's just shocking. Um, so as we're so you talked about radiating peace, and you just shared us with us how you do that in meditation and within yourself, feeling that way. And talk to a little bit about the energy, because you said individual consciousness matters. So share with us about how you see that, because that kind of to me says that we individual consciousness matters. That means that we all could play a part.
Absolutely.
So,
So I believe that I'm not the only one who's doing this, who's feeling this, who wants this. And I think no matter the nature of energy and consciousness, and I believe we are all connected. And so when like minds connect, when those of us who want peace, and I don't know how many other billions of people are on the planet at the moment when I am radiating peace, who are also radiating peace, and that grows and that connects. And that consciousness is all one consciousness, I believe.
yeah.
So it's not like I'm just radiating here all by myself. I believe when I am radiating peace and you radiate peace, then it is one piece. It is one energy that grows and foments. And of course, we are greater than the sum of our parts. So if there are 10 people in the room, you just don't have the energy of 10 people. It is exponentially present. And so when something happens, like the shooting in Uvalde, immediately when I heard that happen, I got quiet. And I reaffirmed that I believe that there is peace, that there is a goodness that surrounds this world, that is this world, that is present in this universe, and that is an anomaly and something that is out of alignment with what is true for the universe in my consciousness. And so I went straight into meditation. And yes, so I had some feelings about that. I'm wondering, and I'm thinking about the people who are in that situation. And all I did was think of them and think about peace. And that I continued to want peace. And I just stayed quiet. And every single time I heard something else on the news and I start to feel myself get triggered or tweaked, where I start to feel helpless, when a feeling of helplessness and hopelessness starts to seep in, I immediately get quiet and go back to what I know to be true for this world, this universe, this life, which is the all good. And that there is peace, and that my peace matters, and that as I radiate peace in this moment, as this situation is unfolding, this tragic situation, that I can be an instrument for peace now, even as something tragic is unfolding. And I believe that now that I'm affirming and I'm saying I have this initiative, it is my responsibility in that moment to sit and radiate peace, to be there, because there will be some who cannot, who can't be there. And so the more that I am willing to be peace in the world, I can affect others and the rest of the consciousness that is in the world.
Yeah.
That is all that is out of alignment with the all good.
Thank you so much. That's so helpful. I'm going to come back and say a couple things about that. The number that you shared with us, that square root of 1% of the population being around 9,000. When you get that only 9,000 people need to radiate peace to shift consciousness, then it helps with for me, it helps with understanding what my individual consciousness, what feeling of peace, whatever it is that I'm bringing to the table, can shift it, because you feel like, oh my God, what can one person do? It doesn't seem like it's enough,
Right.
and so just coming back to that number really affirms it for me. There's a question in the chat that I want to throw out. I don't know if everybody reads the chat, but I want to throw out to everyone, and particularly you, Kim, but to everyone to respond. Reverend Michael asked, how do you define peace? So what are we calling that? What are we calling peace? And anyone that wants to share that, and certainly you, Kim, but anybody that wants to share that, please do. But what do you think, Kim? We'll start with you.
So for me, I used to equate peace with quiet until I realized that all quiet is not peaceful.
Yeah.
And so my home was often quiet, but was not peaceful. So my parents went through periods where they wouldn't talk to each other. But there was tension during those times. They were not speaking to each other because they didn't want to deal with the problem. What we did was we swept everything under the rug. But all the feelings of unease, of distrust, of anything that was outside of love was still there in the quiet. And that's called negative peace. That's called negative peace. There's no compassion, no understanding, no willingness to understand. So everybody still got their hatchets in their hands. But what I'm saying right now is I'm not going to swing it at you right now. But if you come for me, I'm going to swing. Because that's where I am. That's where we are. So it's kind of like a detente where everybody, the governments have the finger on the button and they'll say, okay, we've agreed not to hit the button, but I don't trust you. So I still may hit this button. So peace is really where there is understanding, where there is compassion, where there is an openness, a vulnerability, where there's a willingness, where the healing has taken place, and there is a shift in consciousness.
Beautiful.
And so I didn't understand that. I just thought quiet was peaceful, and it's not. I lived in a quiet house that was not peaceful for decades. And so, you hear that term, that phrase, I'll do anything to keep the peace. Yeah. That's what I was taught. So I avoided conflict at all times. I never, would strive for understanding, because, you got to walk on eggshells around people because quiet is better. Quiet is not better. What is better is understanding, love, compassion, openness, vulnerability, a healing between factions or groups or individuals. My brother and I were estranged for 15 years. Our relationship was quiet. There was nothing peaceful between us. And we healed that relationship. Now we have peace between us and in our relationship, and it has changed everything. It's changed everything. Does anybody else have some thoughts about that?
Well, I want to ask Michael, because Michael, since you asked that question, what are your thoughts about peace?
I am so happy I asked that question, because the negative peace that you defined is always so challenging. And I've experienced it in my own life. And I think that's why I asked the question. I mean, I've been in situations where there's a quiet, but there is no connectedness. There is no mutual love going on. And I'm thinking, wow, what do I say? This is not peace for me. For me, peace is that tranquility and that like absence of disturbance and things like that, where there's an ease of being, and there's an ease of being for everyone. I'm happy I asked the question, because you definitely enlightened me. Thank you.
Yeah,
you're welcome. Yeah, and even if you can't get to love, at least we can maybe get to respect. And we agree to disagree, and we say, okay, I understand you, and you've made an effort to understand me, and now we can be at peace with each other. You may not change, and we may not love each other. Maybe I think that may be the ultimate, but at least we can get to respect. Respect. I respect you as another human being on this planet who is also part of the divine, and I am intimately connected with you. And yes, not only have I don't need the hatchet anymore. I don't need to bury it. I don't need it. And it's like the hatchet disappears.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Betty, you've had your hand up for a little bit. Do you have something you'd like to share with us?
Well, sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So what I'm getting from your description, Kim, is that peace is a mindset that I want peace for myself and others. And therefore, I have to decide not to have or carry weapons, physical or verbal, linguistic, weapons of potential violence and destruction of peace.
Yeah.
So in fact, that is easier for me to understand as opposed to say, well, love instead. Well, eventually that love is going to come when I've practiced not using the verbal language. I don't carry weapons, but my mouth could be a weapon as well. So the linguistic or even verbal weapons that we carry around, we're ready to self-defend rather than identify with the love, a consciousness of love.
Yeah. Thank you. Absolutely.
It's even, I even had to take a look at, I listened to the way I talk about my self-talk, whether it was out loud or, what am I thinking about myself? I'd make a mistake and think, you idiot. And I thought, why that certainly is not peaceful. I am committing an act of violence against myself, and it's not okay. So how do I heal that? What do I say instead? There are times when we all have times, and I still flip out. I still have my moments, and I'll have to say, gee, I'm sorry. I apologize to myself. I'm sorry. That was not peaceful. That came from somewhere else. And then I do endeavor to understand where it came from. Am I tired? Am I being triggered by something? What is it? Because I believe it's all an opportunity to heal and to find ways to be at peace with myself. And if I can find ways to be peaceful with myself, I can find ways to be peaceful with everyone.
Right.
Everyone, if I'm willing to understand. And really, I believe the first step is being willing to understand yourself, know who you are, what do you value, where do you come from, what does that mean, what is your paradigm for life, what is the ground on which you stand, and to move from that.
Yeah.
And so I always endeavor to be peaceful. And when I'm not, man, it just it's in my face, like right here. And I think, okay, this is my commitment to me and the world to work on this.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Thank you so much. Teresa has just made a comment that she's so glad that this conversation is happening. And Novella was just saying that she feels like peace begins with forgiveness. And so what are your thoughts about forgiveness as a part of the peace process?
Well, I think we have to have a willingness to go there, because unless we have a willingness to forgive, we don't get to understanding.
Yeah.
And then we open the door for peace through forgiveness, forgiving ourselves, forgiving each other. And so, for instance, in my relationship with my brother, when we had that first conversation, for the first time, I reached out to him without an agenda for me. I just wanted, and that hadn't happened in 15 years. I texted him one day and I just said, gee, I want to ask you about something regarding when our father died. And I want to know what that was like for you. And I wondered if you would speak with me. Prior to that time, in 15 years, I had never contacted him without having an ulterior motive, something for me. And finally, I asked him because I wanted to understand him. I wanted to understand his pain. he texted me right back, and he had not there were times for 15 years he ignored my text. And it just made me angrier and angrier. But this time I just wanted to understand. And when I spoke to it, when we finally did talk, we had a 4-hour conversation, our first time in 15 years. And we forgave ourselves for making up stories about each other and about ourselves and our relationship. And then we forgave each other for all of that. And we wept through the conversation, and we talked about things. I opened up to him about things I probably hadn't said to any other human being, about our growing up together and about our adult relationship or lack thereof. And it was through that forgiving of ourselves and each other that our relationship is now on a much different level. And there's just more peace and love there than it's greater than I could have hoped for, because I just really wanted some understanding. Even if there was no love lost, I just wanted peace between us. And it's gone. I mean, it's that, and that's how it is when we open up and we allow our consciousness to be our guide.
Yeah, beautiful.
We always get far more than we expect. Far more than we expect. And I'm just blown away with where our conversation, where our relationship is now. And so, but you know, it takes courage to forgive. And sometimes forgiveness takes a while. It may not happen instantaneously when you say you want to forgive. It may be a process. And, you know, I've devised a process for myself in forgiving. And because it is a necessary step that I think we need to do often. We need to do often. Stuff crops up sometimes every day that there's something we need to forgive.
Yeah.
Something we need to forgive. And so our willingness to do that, and I think forgiveness cracks the door open to the light and to the possibility of peace.
It's beautiful.
So thank you for suggesting that. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Novella. Thank you, Kim, for your response. One of the things you talked about with, you know, moving forward with your brother, and I just think is a revelation, in that you simply wanted to understand him, whatever. And part of that wanting to understand does take courage, because maybe part of the issue for him has to do with you. It may not be it may not be something that's comfortable to hear, to know that occurred, but you were willing to be courageous enough to open the conversation, to put the olive branch out and say, listen, I just want to hear from you with no agenda. And what I'm saying about that is, you can say you have no agenda and then underlying have one, but that energy is felt. Energy is felt by the person you're speaking with. And when you don't have a real agenda other than to know them and understand them and let them speak, that is felt and the energy is there. I saw you smile about that.
Yeah, and I think that's why he didn't respond to any of my texts previously. I mean, so the actual words in the text were not intimidating, but that's why consciousness matters.
Yes.
My feelings when I wrote those texts, I believe he felt, and he didn't want any part of it. And you know what? I don't blame him.
Yeah.
I don't blame him. And yes, it was hard when we had our conversations. Each of us was willing to hear the hard things. So yes, he said some things and I thought, ooh, yeah, man, I was, okay. Yeah. I did not show up as my best in those moments. And I asked him to forgive me. And I said, I didn't know that I hurt you like that when I said that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I ask you to forgive me.
Yeah.
And I had to forgive myself for being like that in those situations, and realizing that I did the best with what I had in the moment, which was a lot of baggage.
Yes.
And so I think my ability to be open with him and to seek to understand him was because I had started to heal myself and had started to let go a lot of that big baggage that I was carrying around and dragging with me, because then it was no longer present when I texted him that time and said, would you be willing to talk to me about our father's passing?
Yeah. Beautiful. And it's so amazing because, again, and I love this discussion because this is about wherever the peace, wherever you want the peace, whether you're looking for global peace, personal peace, peace with a relationship, whatever it may be, peace in your life in some way. The principles are the same, and the law is the same. And so part of what happens for a lot of us, you talk about, having the courage, because I think everything begins with courage. Everything that you want, and it begins with your courage and your willingness to step into it, your willingness to say yes, your willingness to explore, whatever it is. It always starts with courage. But then we get caught up in, well, how is this going to work? How is this going to work? So knowing that when you make a demand on the universe and say, I'm ready for something, which is what you did, I'm ready for peace in my life, the how shows up. That's what the universe does. And so that's the thing I think we need to be really clear about, is we don't need to worry about. I think most of us who's on here right now is obviously having some thoughts about peace, because the how is showing up right now in this conversation. And that's what happens. So we can move forward and take personal responsibility, because that's what we're doing by even being here. And so I appreciate that. I just appreciate you coming up with the moving from the abstract to the practical, and is understanding that all of us are connected to the one love, the one God, the one spirit, whatever you want to call that. And the how is available the moment we make a demand on the universe, which is claiming something, whatever that may be. So thank you so much for your sharing what it is that you do. When we talked before you came on, you talk about peace is a lifestyle, which is clearly what you're doing. So talk to us a little bit more about that. Peace is a lifestyle, and then I have another question that follows that. But how does that look? Peace is a lifestyle.
So I've built a morning ritual that sets me on a course for peace. And I've noticed when I don't follow that ritual that my day's different, and radiating peace is harder. So, I wake up in the morning, I have my meditation time, I read, I work out, because for me, working out helps me clear my head, and all the stuff that can begin to spiral in the morning when I'm thinking about my list of things to do, or people I have to deal with, or a board meeting, or whatever it is, then that chills me out. So taking care of myself physically, having some kind of physical release to work out, whether it's a walk or lifting weights or going for a swim, whatever it is, helps me chill out. I make my bed. Because I work from home most of the time, and being able to walk around my house and see it neat and orderly makes me feel peaceful. That may not matter to other people, but for me, it works. I love walking around my home, and I've spent a lot of time creating a peaceful environment here. And so I love walking around in the morning after I've, go through my meditation time, my prayer time. I listen to music. I have a couple of playlists on my phone that I love to listen to in the morning, and I'm just enveloped by this music, and that helps my consciousness. I work out. I spend a little bit of time with my husband. He also works from home. I have a good breakfast. So I start with a ritual of things that helps me be in a place where I am peaceful and where I am really grounded and I am filled up and ready for the world. And I notice when I cut those things short, I am not so ready for the world peacefully. I'm just not. And so I've gotten to know the things that are necessary for me in order to be peaceful. And that is my lifestyle. That is my peace ritual in the morning. I've now realized that I need to do even more at night to be peaceful before I go to bed, because then I sleep better and then I have more energy for the next day. I realize that it's important for me to nurture my relationships. That's why, PJ, you and me and Melinda get together. My other friends that just feed my soul, where I can just go and be 100% me, not having to edit anything. I don't have to, I'm not in charge of anything. I can just be me and nurture and be nurtured. I need to be in those relationships and be in their space on a regular basis. And so that is part of my peace lifestyle, is being in relationship, talking to the people I love, saying to the people I love that I love you. letting them know that I value them because connection's important to me. Eating well. You know, I love a good meal. I love to know that I am nourishing my body and taking care of it. So even things as far as diet, because, you know, if my body doesn't feel good, I'm not peaceful. I just spent 10 days in bed because I was sick, because I had burning the candle at both ends trying to meet a deadline and got out of alignment. And so I had 10 whole days to think about, okay, what needs to be different here? What needs to be different, and allow myself to rest and heal. And I really thought I was doing a great job taking care of myself, and then got a pretty big message that I was not. And so the question again was, am I willing now to change my nighttime routine so that my body is more peaceful than ever? So last night I tried some new things. I slept better. And so, you know, we get up, there are those mornings where I think, I don't feel like working out. I don't want to do it. But then I think, all right, what do I really want? And I know what I want is peace. And I know if I say no today, my tendency is going to be say no tomorrow, because you can always push it.
Right.
Oh, I'll do it later. I'll do it later. I'll do it later. I'll do it later. Later never happens for me. I'm either on or off. And that's part of knowing who I am and knowing what I need to be peaceful in my life, which is to feel good in my body, in my physical self, as much as I can with what I'm given. So, I mean, yeah, lifestyle. I need to have vacation.
Yeah.
I didn't do that for a long time. My husband and I went away to Mexico in May. We had not taken a we hadn't taken a vacation. Let's just say we hadn't taken a vacation. We went to see family over the years, but had not gone away to refresh and renew our souls. First day on the beach, I wept. I thought, oh my gosh, there's a huge part of me that I had been ignoring for years because I thought I didn't have time.
Yeah.
And now I know there's a part of me, there's a part of the world, there's a part of the divine, there's a part of my soul that needs to be on a beach, literally. And so I've taken that very seriously, because I got some very obvious clues. Tears is one of them. You know, when you're weeping on the beach, when you land on the sand and you think, oh my gosh, what's happened? So I thought, okay, now I need to affirm that this is possible for me now on a regular basis, and take that seriously, because my soul felt something at the beach. I grew up 30 minutes from the shore. We went to the shore all the time. It's just I think it's part of my DNA. And so that I now know that that's something I need to work into my lifestyle. I need to be able to go away and refresh and renew my soul on a regular basis. That's lifestyle.
You know what I love what you just shared with us. The thing that I love most, because we know each other, and I know how your mind thinks, and I know that you put things in order, and I just love all that stuff. But the fact that all the things that you're doing, and the things that you've claimed, I'm peace, I'm working on it, and then you get to a place where this isn't work, and your willingness to re-examine and to say, what's missing? How do I move forward? Because a lot of times we'll say, oh my God, I thought I had this, I'm doing it all wrong. And that's not the case, because we're constantly evolving. We're constantly evolving, and we're going to the next levels of whatever it is we're supposed to be going to. So it's not that we've gotten something wrong, it's that there's a next level being revealed, and your willingness to see it and to move into it, and to trust, to have faith, the trust spirit is taking you where you asked to go. So that's a beautiful thing. Thank you so much for sharing that. And then we're kind of getting close to the end. So, but I do want to, Bill, I know you've got some things that you want to share with us. So one last thing that you talked about was in the lifestyle program, there's a peaceability quotient that has 4 questions to it. Is that something you want to speak?
So I came up with 4 questions because I really wanted to know, especially when things crop up, whether it's something in a relationship, something in the world, something in your life, whatever it is, how do I know that peace is possible? And so there's 4 questions. And the first one is, do I believe that peace is possible in all situations? Absolutely. Any situation in the world. Do I believe that peace is possible on this planet? My answer to that is yes. My answer to that is yes. And the second question is peace possible in the situation that I'm in right now? So take the situation with my brother. So it's one thing to say, oh yes, peace is possible. Yes, I believe in that. I believe in new thought and, the all good and everything else. But then when the stuff is in our face and you are in a situation in your life, then sometimes we cut off and we say, yeah, but not this. My brother hadn't spoken to me in 15 years. He never returns my text. So yeah, I believe it's in the universe, but I don't think it's possible here. Then I have stopped it, and I have, if there's 4 questions and there's 25% each, you get the 100%. There's only 25% possibility of peace, because I say, yes, it's possible in the world, but I'm not willing to think it's possible for me in my situation right here that I'm faced with. So again, here's cracking that door, opening the door to say it's possible in this situation with my brother. And so I had to come to that and say, yes, it is possible. Even if he does not want to speak to me, I can still find peace in this situation. Even if he never answered my text, I still believe it's possible to find peace in that relationship with some personal work. And so your quotient now goes up to 50%, 2 out of 4. The third question is, am I willing to be open to what is necessary for healing in this moment? So yes, I'm saying, yes, there's peace is possible in all situations in the world. Yes, it's possible in this situation with my brother. Third question is, am I willing to open the door to find out what's necessary for healing? And my answer was yes. But my answer was, what I need to do is I need to text him with no agenda. Open, vulnerable, and say, I want to understand what my father's passing was like for you. And so, probably 2 years ago, I would have said, nope, not asking him that question, because I want to know, how come you haven't texted me for 15 years? What's wrong with you? Takes 30 seconds to text somebody. And so I was willing to ask the question. Then the fourth question is, are you willing to take the step today? Because you can say you're willing. Sure, I'll text him. But am I going to send the text? We all have good intentions. Are you willing? Do you have the courage to take the step and to move forward? It's not good enough to say I'm willing. You got to take the step. And so I said, okay, all right, this is what's, I sat in the silence. That's what was revealed to me to do. And then I sent the text, and I had to be ready for whatever happened when I sent the text.
Yes.
And it just happened that he answered me.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
And so there's just 4 questions I believe that anybody can ask in any situation, whether it's a big thing in the world or something in your personal experience right here, right now, to determine if you can get to peace. And if at any point in those 4 questions you say no, then you've closed the door. You've closed the door, and peace is not possible.
Thank you so much for being here today. Could you please put those 4 questions in the chat?
I will.
And also your contact information. And you're writing a book about this, right? And you also have some classes or some way in which, if somebody wants to move forward with what you're talking about today, how can they do that? Can you please share that and also put it in the chat? So how can they reach you or move forward with it?
So you can go to thecalltopeace.com, thecalltopeace.com, and you can sign up to be on the email list, and there's a lifestyle program. I'm not taking registration at the time because I'm revamping the program. Part of having a peaceful life was I had bitten off more than I could chew, and this is not what I decided I was going to do about this program. Is not scalable for me. So I'm having to revamp it, but you can sign up for the email list to get more information about the new program when it's released, and I'll be doing that in July. Or you can simply email me at admin@thecalltopeace.com and let me know you're interested, and I'll put you on the list. And the lifestyle program is about this. I have the acronym is URISE, URISE, and there are 5 steps in order to work towards peace and to start this practical walk towards inner peace. And the beginnings of that, and the beginnings of being a subtle activist and working towards peace on the planet. But the work has to start with us first. Yeah. Deep inner personal work. And so whatever part of your life is not peaceful, I think the first thing to do right now is to ask, are you willing? Are you willing to heal that? Yeah. Are you really willing? And are you willing to do the work no matter what the work is? Oh. And sometimes the work is more than a notion, folks. Trust me, there's some things that scared me, and I thought, oh man, I don't know about this, but I keep going back to, yes, I want peace. Yeah. Yes, I want peace. And then I think, all righty then, here we go. Here we go.
Here we go.
Here we go for the work.
Well, thank you so much. If anyone else has any more questions, please, there's a lot in the chat there. Please put it in the chat. We have some things coming up. Bill, you want to share some things with us, Reverend Bill?
I would love to share some things with you. Thank you, Pjae and Kim. Wow, wonderful. I love when it's 4 questions because those are transformational. The first one is, and I'm going to work backwards, in August next year. So 13, 14 months from now is the Parliament of World Religions. It's going to be in Chicago. It's going to be a big deal. New Thought is going to be there together as one. And the reason I bring that up is because they have a super ridiculously early bird rate, which is half the price of the on-site rate, and it ends today. So the link to the website, I just put it into the chat. So it's $225, or you can become a supporting member, and it winds up being $237 if you sign up today. It's $550 if you do it on site. So if there's the possibility that you're going to go to the Parliament of World Religions with the rest of New Thought next summer, then it's a good way to, first of all, make a commitment and also save a few bucks. The other one is the International New Thought Alliance. The 107th Annual Congress is coming up next month in Chicago as well. It's going to be at, at Christ Universal Temple. And this one is going to feature representatives, the senior leaders from all of the New Thought organizations. So that's Unity, both Unity Worldwide Ministries and Unity World Headquarters, Centers for Spiritual Living, United Federation for Better Living, Divine Science, 2 different flavors of Divine Science as well. Jerry Troyer will be there representing Anton. AGNT is going to be represented as well. So it is an opportunity for everybody in New Thought to get together and connect. It's a wonderful event. It's also virtual, so you can participate remotely if you don't want to make your way to Chicago. But again, it's in the chat.
Perfect. Thank you so much. There's so much going on, and of course, we want to remind everybody about the conference that's coming up fairly soon. So remind us again about that one.
Okay, that's the Anton Annual Retreat is in Unity Village the last week in September. Website is anton.org, and we are still in the midst of early bird specials so that you can sign up. The spaces, the accommodations at Unity Village Conference Center are booked, but we have an arrangement with the Holiday Inn Express down the street, which includes transportation back and forth. And it is going to be an absolutely spectacular event.
Absolutely.
It's over the top. Love, learn, decide, and do. The whole thing is called Convergence, and it is a really rich combination of keynotes and workshops and power talks and experientials and dancing and playing and the labyrinth, etc.
Eating.
There's some eating there too. Yeah.
Eating going on. And we're celebrating our 30 years. as well. So going to be a fantastic time. So I hope to see you all there. And certainly Bill has set it up where we're going to have it virtual as well. So, but we certainly, it's just nothing like being there in person. So I invite you all to be there if you can. Don't forget to register for Thought Leader Thursdays, which is again every Thursday. Our next upcoming speaker in July. No, this is July. Wait, what is this? No, this is June. Where we are? This is June? July.
This is June. July's next.
Thank you. I'm so far ahead with the speakers. I don't know which one I'm talking about. So thanks to you, Bill. But Margaret Markison is going to be our next speaker, and she has several books out. She offers a way for church leaders to bring their best to their ministry without giving it all away, which is part of what Kim was talking about earlier. Just refreshing yourself and making sure that whatever you're passionate about, you also make time for yourself. So she's going to be talking about that, so that without giving it all away, you can have a greater impact and find more satisfaction. So it's not just about pulpit ministries; it's about wherever you minister. So that's going to be a fantastic. That's going to be a fantastic talk. And her book is called Leaders Who Last, Sustaining Yourself and Your Ministry. So please come back for that in July, and invite your friends. So what else do we have? John, is there anything else we need to be talking about? Does anybody have a question real quick? We got like 1 more minute to say anything. Because we're going to be we don't have a minute.
Minute's up.
Minute is up. All right. Our time is up. Thank you again, Kim. Fabulous. Thank you all for being here. It was just beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you very much for asking me. This has been wonderful. Blessings to all of you. I wish you peace.
Yay.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Dr. PJ.
Oh, thank you. Yay, Steve.
Having donuts.
Beautiful breakfast. Thank you.
Thanks for the donuts. We're good to go now.
I'll see you all next time.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.